Everything topped up to the max. Well done.
I think it's really impressive.
So he has some regrets.
I always say you can't eat the bricks.
Okay, should I just start? Yeah.
My name is Tan Pang Kuang. I'm a property agent, and then in 2016, I start to drive for Grab.
My name is Muthu Kumar. Now I'm presently 55 years old. Just retired from the army, so I switched a job. I find a bit more better, more relaxed, not much pressure.
So for Mr. Kumar here, he's done really well.
My retirement goal is at the age of 60, which I would like to stop working for a living and start to work either for pleasure, my hobby or my interest. What I do prefer is I like to go traveling. Maybe once a year, bring the whole family out, go whichever country we haven't been to. For my preferred lifestyle, I need at least about 2K at present situation.
He's currently thinking about $2,000, and that is quite a modest stream of income that he's looking into and could possibly be covered by CPF Life. Getting your CPF Life sorted out and maximized is a very good idea because CPF Life pays for the rest of your life, so you hedge against that longevity risk in that sense.
At present, my retirement planning is at the top of my list so I can have a comfortable retirement. I bought my house, a 4-room HDB flat, about 29 years ago. I paid finish when I about 55. So I don't have any loan or any outstanding loan at present. If possible, I do not want to take a loan for the rest of my life.
So for Mr. Kumar here, he's done really well in paying off his flat. A lot of times people tend to overextend themselves when it comes to property.
I really like what he just shared about not wanting to take a loan for the rest of his life because loans are the one thing that keep people in jobs. As best as possible, try to stay debt-free because debts will hold you back and you start realizing that you can't maybe enjoy or maybe travel as much because you have to pay down all your debt.
I save about 20% of my salary for my rainy days. In case of emergency, I can still make use of them. I put in every month $300, so you'll be there until the day I retire.
It sounds like he's been doing it consistently. He's a very disciplined person, so in case there's some emergency expenses or you lose your income, that's where an emergency fund really is the foundation of good financial health. This is why we always recommend that you have an emergency fund of about at least 6 months.
I regret I started a bit late because I should have started when I'm 50 years old. Since I started when I'm 53, so I got another 3 more years I have to work to pay up for these insurance savings. 2 of my endowment plans have already matured, and I'm waiting for another 3 more in about 3 years' time to collect the funds or mature.
So that's also a very good way to save up. He is an example of how you can actually realize the gains and the yields from endowment plans. He was very clear on why he needed to buy endowment plans, and now that they are maturing, he's able to get some decent level of yield from those plans to supplement his retirement years.
Now, as far as possible, when it comes to investing and savings, what we want to do is to have as much time as we have so that we can actually compound our returns. So in fact, if we can start even earlier, that would be better.
I met the minimum sum of 181,000 for the CPF retirement plan. Then I have some balance in the backup on my special account and my ordinary account, which I think I will leave it there.
I think it's really impressive that at 55 he's already met his full retirement sum. So this means that in 10 years' time, when CPF starts to pay out, every month he will get about $1,500 in retirement income for the rest of his life. Based on his lifestyle of about $2,000 per month, it sounds like he's probably well on his way there.
On the scale of 1 to 10 on my retirement plan, I've reached 7. Remaining thing for unforeseen circumstances like critical illness, I think that's the major one. My major challenge will be to have enough for medical coverage in case some critical illness or something happens to either me or my wife. The insurance plan, I don't think at this time is still adequate to cover my serious medical condition if it happens.
Okay, so now we realize that he doesn't have a lot of insurance coverage when it comes to critical illness. So that's super key and important as well, because cancer is 1 in every 3 people.
If you already have critical illness coverage, what happens is that it pays out a lump sum to you. We recommend to be about 4 times your annual income, and it's really for you to recuperate.
People like my age group, most of them have some medical conditions which the insurance agent, the insurance company will turn off, and we find that it's a bit difficult to get hospitalization benefit and all this. Are there any solutions for people like me who are above 50, who have minor illness or medical conditions, to help us to pay our medical bills?
If he is not able to get insurance right now because of medical conditions, then what he really needs to bear in mind is that should he go to hospital, he should go to a ward that is like a B2 or C class ward in a government hospital, which then would be covered by MediShield Life. The other type of insurance that also has a national scheme is the CareShield Life, and this pays out a certain sum of cash to you to cater for your long-term care needs in case of severe disability. For those who are able to, you might also wish to supplement that with a CareShield Life supplement that pays you additional income in case of suffering from this severe disability, because the payout of about $600 today from CareShield Life might not be sufficient for your healthcare expectation.
I would like to ask a financial advisor a bit more advice on how to save up so that I can meet my retirement goals. At present, I find that some of the insurance savings schemes really don't cater up to 100% of what we need.
So for Mr. Kumar, he's got very good balances in his CPF, but his wife has low CPF balances. So one of the strategies that he could consider is actually to top up his wife's CPF accounts. The other thing that can be considered for couples in their 50s with adult children who are working is to get the children to contribute to their parents' CPF account. One way to get more income is actually to monetize your assets. So even for HDB, you can actually do an enhanced lease buyback where you sell part of your lease back to the HDB, get this cash or from the proceeds of selling back your lease, you can put it back into your CPF, and then from then on, it streams out additional income for you from CPF Life. Or you can also have some of that in cash proceeds.
I would think there's a few ways to think of this. Like, does he plan to leave his property for his kids? Because I think he mentioned he has kids as well. So that's one big consideration. It's a very personal consideration, so it's really up to him whether he wants to make that move. All right, now on to Mr. Terry. Uncle Terry, right? Uncle Terry.
My name is Tan Pang Guang. I'm a property agent, and then in 2016, I started to drive for Grab as a private hire driver. My ideal retirement lifestyle is if I want to work, I work. If I do not need to, I will take a break, and I will have time for myself to go and discover what I can do.
Yes, so indeed, I think that's a very good definition of retirement, or some people say financial independence.
I look at my current expenses. I don't spend a lot. I don't travel frequent. The amount that I can spend on food, my clothing and everything, I think $2,000 is more than sufficient. Perhaps I think maybe $1,000 a month. Whatever extra, once I accumulate, I will take a trip.
You see, what I find interesting is that they actually need only about $2,000 to survive monthly.
I think that's really quite admirable. So indeed, you do not have to have very high expenses or to spend on very expensive things to have a meaningful life.
As a self-employed, my salary is not fixed, so it's more difficult to actually save, and I'll try to save as much as I can. So I leave most of my saving in ordering account. I only use 30,000 of what I have for investment, okay, in stocks. I started in August. To date, right, I've made a profit of 10%.
So at this point, I want to caution, because a 10% return since August is very great, but it doesn't happen all the time. And we should be careful not to think that we are always chasing these kind of outsized returns in the financial markets.
Honestly speaking, if it's money he can afford to lose, he can go ahead to have some fun with it. Because ultimately, if it's not money that he has set aside for retirement, then if he wants to try and have a hand at investing and maybe trading even If he has the right learning and the resources and the know-how, then yeah, go for it.
Even in retirement, we should still have the long-term view because you are not using all your money today. He could have 30 years to go. So he can still take some investing risk, perhaps in a balanced portfolio, but not really to monitor short-term, not try to go in and out, to try to capture that 10% every 3 months. Keep it small, keep it not leverage, do not borrow and all that. The worry here is really about getting carried away.
Just that he needs to be willing and understanding that this could be an amount that he loses entirely, because stocks do go under, because stocks are businesses at the end of the day.
My retirement plan is my CPF plan.
My retirement plan is my CPF plan. That's a good line.
End of last year, I actually top up to the enhanced retirement sum. Beginning of this year, I further top it up to the max because every year the sum increases. Today I have 282,000. That will give me a range like 2,000 to 2,200 every month from 6.5. And I find that very comfortable. And my wife is also doing the same. For medical, our MediSave, I also top up to the max.
Oh, everything topped up to the max. Well done.
So here we see a very savvy person who's using the government schemes to their max.
So BRS is basically, as of 2020, is 90,500. And then FRS would be 2 times of that. And then the enhanced retirement would be 3 times of BRS.
The enhanced retirement sum, when converted into the annuity, will give you about $2,000 per month for the rest of your life. It forms the base of your stream of income that you can have and you can depend on for life without there being any worry of the risk of losing your capital or of outliving your assets. So this is why we always recommend that when you do retirement planning, you start looking at CPF Life first.
And I think one interesting concept that I learned is that when it comes to CPF, right, some people treat it as like a bond, part of their portfolio. So once you have that part of your portfolio that is stable, then you can actually take a little bit more risk in your investments outside of CPF, because you know that there's this amount of money will be parked there for your retirement years.
On the scale of 1 to 10, I am very confident that I think I will achieve my goal, so I give it a 10.
Remember, he said that his retirement lifestyle is only about 2,000 and he can travel, but he himself already will be expecting from age 65 about $2,200 from CPF Life alone, and his wife around the same. So actually they're in a very, very comfortable position, and if they actually have other cash savings, I will not be surprised if they could even retire today if they wanted to.
The sad thing is that I didn't really understand CPF, okay, until 3 years back. So like most Singaporeans, I think we have learned so much about the misinformation, right, that is spread in social media basically.
I would think that a good thing about social media right now is that a lot of the false information gets caught out more and more.
9 years ago, because I do not know much about CPF, the only thing I know how to actually save up, right, is through property. I sold my HDB and I bought 2 condominiums. So the thought is to become a landlord. And one day, when I want to retire, I sell that property. And then I can use that money for my retirement. But then I start to think that, hey, I have made a mistake because my money installment is higher than my rental income. By the time I pay off my house, right, I'll be 70. So I ask myself, when am I going to enjoy the fruit of my labor? So I decided to sell my property about a year back. Worst thing is that when you decide to sell, the property market is not in your favor.
So I think here Terry actually is sharing with us a very important lesson. For property, I think most people do feel that they are good assets, and they have their place in your portfolio if you can afford the outlay. But we always say that an asset is not really an asset unless it gives you income.
So even though a lot of people want to actually find a way to support the mortgage via your rental yield, I think it's important to understand that in today's global climate with COVID as well, maybe there is a depressed rental market. So your rental property yield may actually drop over time. And these are considerations that maybe just a year ago or 2 years ago you would not have considered prior to buying the property.
So if you're living in a house that is so big that you have to pay such a big mortgage and you're not actually getting income out of it, I always say you can't eat the bricks. So is it really an asset?
One of my regrets is we bought insurance-linked product. Then understanding that the Actually, the interest is not guaranteed. And the premium that we pay is also pretty high. I decided to sell off all the insurance-linked product, take the money back, and I actually pump into CPF.
And Money Hour, we also do not really recommend insurance-linked policy to be the mainstay of your retirement planning. The main problem with insurance-linked policy is that the costs tend to be very, very high, can actually set you back by about 3-4% or more before you even start earning anything. You can also have much more flexibility in investing by choosing unit trusts that are not linked to that insurance company, because when you buy insurance-linked policy, you are limited to only a certain number of products.
And he actually sold off all his ILPs to put the money into CPF. A lot of the times, people always overestimate their ability to actually earn more returns than what you're getting at, let's say, a 4 or 5% interest rate. That is almost risk-free in the CPF.
I have no question for them because likely they will suggest some investment which I'm not prepared for. Okay, I'm very risk averse. I think I'm happy with what I have.
Uncle Terry has a very interesting thought process. He understands the number one rule of investing: never invest in what you don't understand. All right, so in his situation, he's happy, he's contented with what he's getting, $2,000+ a month from CPF Life. He understands that at his life stage, he doesn't need to take more risks for more returns.
I think Terry says it very well, that if you're happy with what you have, actually why do you invest? Investing is not an end in itself. Investing is to support your financial plan, and your financial plan is to support your life goals. And so as long as you have sufficient and you have a reliable stream of income, in this case from CPF Life for Terry, then you are in a good state and there's no need to chase anything more, because contentment is sometimes the biggest gain.